The town had fallen silent that evening. No wind, no footsteps, just a hum of fear in the air. The search party had returned, their faces grim. Everyone believed it was over. No one had heard from Daniel, a retired war veteran who had gone missing in the dense forest near his cabin. But just when hope began to flicker out, something unbelievable happened. Out of the thick fog emerged a shadow, limping, bleeding, but determined. It was Max, Daniel's loyal German shepherd, carrying something in his mouth. It wasn't food. It wasn't a clue. It was Daniel's dog tag, covered in dirt, scratched by rocks, and soaked in blood. Everyone froze. What had Max seen? Where had he come from? And most importantly, was Daniel still alive? What unfolded next would not only shake the town, but touch the hearts of millions across the world. Daniel Carter had served 2 decades in the Army. He was a man of discipline, honor, and solitude. When he returned from his final tour, carrying emotional scars no one could see, he chose to live in a small log cabin on the outskirts of Elmridge, a peaceful town surrounded by forests and quiet hills. Life moved slowly there, just the way he liked it. But even in peace, Daniel felt something missing. The silence became suffocating. Nightmares haunted his sleep, and memories from the battlefield clung to him like shadows. That was until Max came into his life. Max wasn't just any dog. He was a military-trained German shepherd, once deployed to detect explosives and protect soldiers. After retirement, he was up for adoption. When Daniel met him at the shelter, they didn't need words. A single look was enough. 2 broken souls had found each other. From that day on, Max became Daniel's world. They hiked through the woods together. They watched sunsets from the porch. When Daniel had nightmares, Max would gently nudge him awake and rest his head on his chest. Max didn't speak, but he understood more than any human ever could. The townspeople often saw the two together, always in sync, always silent. Some called Max a guardian angel. Others said he was just a dog. But Daniel knew the truth. Max had saved him in ways no one else could. And then, one day, everything changed. It was the middle of October. The trees were shedding their leaves, and a cold breeze swept through Elmridge. Daniel had gone for his usual walk into the forest with Max. He left a note on his table, as always, "Gone for a walk, back before sunset." But this time, sunset came and went, and Daniel didn't return. At first, no one panicked. Daniel was a seasoned outdoorsman. He knew those woods better than anyone. But when the night grew darker and Max came back alone, panting, whimpering, bleeding, the town knew something was terribly wrong. Max's paws were scraped raw. His side was gashed, possibly from rocks or thorns. But he wasn't just injured, he was desperate. He paced back and forth in front of the sheriff's office, barking wildly, tugging at anyone who would follow him. And then he dropped the dog tag on the ground. It took no time for a search party to be formed. Locals, officers, and rescue workers grabbed flashlights and entered the woods. Max led the way, limping but relentless. But the forest was vast, and the night was cruel. After hours of searching, they found nothing. No footprints, no clothing, no Daniel. The sheriff called off the search until morning. Max refused to leave the edge of the woods. He howled into the night, eyes fixed on the darkness, ears twitching at every sound. People whispered. Some said maybe Daniel had fallen. Others feared a wild animal attack. A few believed he had just walked away from life. But Max knew better. He stayed up all night, waiting. And when no one returned to the forest the next morning, Max went alone. What Max did over the next 48 hours remains one of the most remarkable displays of devotion ever witnessed, but it was something no one saw until much later. Max retraced their trail from that afternoon. His nose to the ground, he followed scents through mud, under fallen trees, and over icy streams. At one point, he slipped down a slope and hit a sharp rock, tearing his side. But he didn't stop. He kept going, even as blood stained the forest floor. Hours passed. The cold deepened. Max hadn't eaten or rested. But finally, beneath a jagged rock face near a dried-up riverbed, he found him. Daniel had fallen. His leg was twisted under him, clearly broken. He was unconscious, his skin pale and lips cracked. A fallen branch had struck his head during the fall, leaving a deep gash above his eyebrow. Max licked his face, nudged his shoulder, barked softly, but Daniel didn't wake. So Max did what no one expected. He stayed with Daniel for a while, then made the painful journey back toward town. He knew the trail now, but his body was giving out. He limped, stumbled, and collapsed more than once. But when he finally made it back, just as the fog was rolling in, he delivered that single message, Daniel's dog tag. It was a cry for help. And this time, people listened. When the search party saw Max bleeding and holding the dog tag, they didn't waste a second. The sheriff organized a rapid response. Max tried to lead the way again, but his injuries were too severe. So, a tracker followed his trail, and within hours, they found Daniel, barely alive but breathing. A helicopter was called in. Daniel was rushed to the county hospital, where doctors stabilized him. He had a concussion, a broken leg, and signs of severe dehydration. But he would live. Max was treated by the town's veterinarian. His injuries were deep, but not fatal. The moment he was stable, he was allowed to visit Daniel in the hospital. Nurses and doctors watched in silence as Max limped into the room and laid his head gently on Daniel's chest. Daniel, still weak, opened his eyes and whispered just one word. Max! Tears filled the eyes of everyone in the room. News of Max's heroism spread like wildfire. Reporters came. Newspapers ran headlines. Hero dog saves veteran's life. Videos of the reunion went viral. People from around the world sent letters, gifts, and praise. But none of that mattered to Max. All he wanted was his best friend back. In the weeks that followed, Daniel recovered slowly. Physical therapy helped him walk again. But the real healing came from the quiet moments when Max sat beside him, their bond stronger than ever. And every time someone asked Daniel how he survived, he'd point to Max and say, "He never gave up on me, not even when the world did." Daniel and Max's story became a symbol of loyalty and hope. A local artist sculpted a bronze statue of Max, which now stands in Elmridge Park with the inscription, "To the one who never gave up." Schools invited Daniel to speak about resilience, healing, and the love between a man and his dog. Children sat wide-eyed as he shared how Max had saved his life. Not once, but every single day. Daniel eventually started a small foundation in Max's name to train service dogs for veterans suffering from PTSD. He called it Max's Mission. The goal was simple: pair wounded souls with loyal hearts. Max lived for 5 more beautiful years. Every day, he woke up beside Daniel. They still walked through the woods, though never too far. They still watched sunsets. And when Max grew old and his eyes dimmed, Daniel held him close and whispered, "You saved me. Now rest." Max passed away peacefully in Daniel's arms, just as he had once kept Daniel alive in his. But his spirit never left. In every life that Max's mission touched, in every veteran who found healing to the love of a dog, Max lived on. Because true devotion doesn't end with time. It echoes through memory, through love, and through stories like this.